Richard Sherman, we start with you. Was that a dirty play?
I think it was dirty in terms of it was pretty late. The guy was headed out of bounds. Usually they flag that, but for some reason with mobile quarterbacks, they don't flag it as much. I'm sure if that was Mahomes, if that was Burrows, if that was a number of guys, that would have been a flag on the play. But, I think we talked about this before with Tony Pollard in the San Francisco 49ers and that tackle. It's one of those things. If you never tackled anybody, you could feel like it's a dirty play, but you can see right there he took his arms away from him. You're going to tackle a person at an awkward angle. That you get at weird angles. I don't think if a person wanted to tackle somebody like that and hurt him, I don't know if you could. If you could purposefully do it, at least I couldn't. I guess if I grabbed him around the shoulders, but then I feel like I'm horse collaring. So it's one of those deals where Geno is feeling like what happened is dirty, and he's just justified. It was laid out of bounds. He had already pretty much given himself up on the play. But I think, this goes back to the Tony Pollard play where I'm like, I don't know if a guy can intentionally do that. There are plays you can intentionally try to hurt somebody, but that's just, that's trying to get a guy down.
Yeah, Geno's excited, Skip, at the end of the game. He's being interviewed. He just went into Giants Stadium and popped the team that kind of, for all intents and purposes, the way he felt.
You're right.
Didn't give him an opportunity, a chance. So many bad things have gone wrong in his career in New York, whether it was the Jets or not really given an opportunity he felt with the Giants. And so I understand his emotional side of things. Richard is right. It's not a dirty play. Okay, this is not Roy Williams, not Roy Williams, the receiver from the Cowboys and with the Texans, but Roy Williams, the safety that you know well from Oklahoma with the horse collar, intentionally yanking guys down and tearing Achilles or ripping ACLs or whatever the case may be. This is totally a different situation, as Richard said. You can see Isaiah Simmons kind of let up. It didn't pull him all the way to the ground. And I understand, hey, look, as a receiver, as an offensive player, when I went out of bounds or headed toward out of bounds and I kind of lightened up, I hated when Richard Sherman and his defensive guys would come over there and try to get a last lick in. It would certainly tick me off. I remember in a playoff game in 1998 when we're playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars, I scored a touchdown. I'm getting ready to cross the goal line. I done crossed it basically walking out of bounds. And all of a sudden, Donovan Darius just wham, to me, it's like, okay, you're mad now because we're bringing it to you, so you want to get that last little bit of hit on me. Okay, I get it, but it's unnecessary when a guy is kind of giving himself up going out of bounds. So I understand why Geno was mad. I do understand.
Yeah, Richard, you want to respond before I go?
No, I mean, I can understand why he's mad as well. It's one of those plays where you feel like the play's over.
All right, for me, Isaiah Simmons makes first contact inbounds, so it's not an out-of-bounds initiation of the hit. And he does not obviously go up high at the back of the shoulder pads because that's the TO play. That's the yank down from behind where really bad things can happen. Yet it turns into a horse collar action as Isaiah grips him lower and almost slings himself. It's almost like a slingshot play where he slings forward and does drag Geno down incredibly dangerously. It was more of an accidental dangerous play than it was a dirty play or a cheap shot to me, because in the end, it was ACL city. It was maybe Achilles city, but the way that play ends, with all of his weight going underneath Geno, it was beyond dangerous to me. And Geno's right. The good Lord was with him on that one, because that's you're out for the rest of the year kind of a play, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so when you look right there, Skip, you see the sideline, that white out of bounds. When a guy is heading there, he's not getting ready to cut back in and gain yards. He's stepping out of bounds. Give up. You don't need to go. The sidelines is protecting you as a defender. You don't need to go the extra mile to get a touchy-feely. You don't need to do that. Yeah, leave him alone. You just don't.
Okay,
touchy-feely.
I got it. Well, the point is, to Richard's point, if it had been Mahomes, if it had been Burrow, heck, if it had been Dak Prescott, I think flags fly. But it's Geno, and in the referee's psyches, he still hasn't earned the right to get that call. He still hasn't earned that deeper respect because the contact was initiated again in bounds. It wasn't an out of bounds play where it was an obvious flag. All right, let's go bigger picture. All right, let's go to, as they call him, Danny Dimes, who last night was worth about a dime. That's about what his performance was worth because he did get paid in the offseason. He got his 4-year extension, $160 million. They paid him. They're stuck with him. Here we go. Keyshawn, what did you see last night, and what do you think you're going to see going forward from Daniel Jones?
Well, number one, Saquon Barkley wasn't in the backfield. Yeah. So let's start there. When Saquon Barkley's in the backfield, Daniel Jones is a different player. When they decided to pay Daniel Jones and not pay Saquon Barkley, they basically put themselves on death row, believe it or not. And because when you look at what he's been able to do with him on the field and what the offenses look like versus when Saquon Barkley hasn't been on there, he doesn't have the protection. He doesn't have that cushion, that safety blanket, so to speak, to lift some of that pressure off of him from the defensive standpoint that Seattle was bringing to bear. Okay, he got sacked 10 times, 11 sacks total by the Seattle Seahawks defense. Kind of remind me last night a little bit of the Legion of Boom to a degree. And so when you look at that, whether it's Bobby Wagner or Nwosu or whoever was just going and eating, Edwards Jr., whoever it was, in this situation, they were overmatched, okay? And so Daniel Jones has been known to panic. You go back to the Cowboys game, the first game of the season. Panic. See, he just panics. He does things that makes zero sense for a star quarterback, a starting quarterback in New York City, making $160 million and 92 of it fully guaranteed. Okay, not partial guaranteed, fully guaranteed on the $90+ million. So when you start to look at it, they're in trouble at the quarterback position if they don't have Saquon Barkley in there. And I know they went out and got Paris Campbell, and I know that they got Hodges, and they went out and got Waller to try to make him a much better quarterback. But for whatever reason, he's regressed from a year ago. Now, is it on Brian Daboll to get him going the way that he's supposed to, or is it on Daniel Jones to follow the message? Because clearly, Richard, last night, he was not following the message at all for them.
I mean, he definitely wasn't following the message, but I want to give credit to Clint Hurt and the Seattle defense. Devin Witherspoon played with his hair on fire the whole day. You saw the 97-yard pick six. You saw the 2 sacks. You know, they're finding ways to move him around, get him involved in the game. He's more of a physical cornerback. Quandre Diggs with the interception. My guy, Bobby Wagner, the first ballot Hall of Famer with multiple sacks, 18 tackles in the ball game. So you got to give them credit. Now, should the Giants have paid Danny Dimes? No, they shouldn't. This is a cautionary tale of, hey, don't just play the guy because he's a guy. He's having an average season. Maybe you find a way to franchise him like you're doing the running backs. You say, hey, we don't know if he can do it again. We don't know what he is. We don't know if this guy's going to be consistent. Maybe you should have franchised Daniel Jones and not Saquon Barkley so that you could have an experimental year and say, hey, let me see if this guy can do it again before we sign him to a long-term deal. But that's probably why Brian Daboll looks so disappointed, because he's sitting there like, I am stuck with this dude no matter what. I'm drawing up great plays. I'm drawing up guys wide open, and he can't get the ball to him. Like, my goodness, I'm about to pull my hair out, but he's already bald. So you would feel like, hey, I would have a chance. You thought last year, man, I'm using him right. Saquon's here. But after 11 sacks, the Seattle Seahawks defense had 5 sacks going into the game. They went and had more than doubled that in this game. And it was people coming scot-free. It was him holding the ball too long. It was a myriad of other things, Skip. But I just feel like they wish that they had franchised him, and maybe they wish they franchised Saquon too, because Saquon gets getting banged up, and that's why you don't pay him the long-term money. That's their logic. But I feel like other teams are going to be more cautious going forward with the quarterback that has some unknowns.
All right. Over the years, every time we have talked about Daniel Jones on this show, I have said things like, he's not bad. He plays hard. He won't quit. He's a tough kid. Okay, on and on and on, but the summation of all the above, it brings me back to the classic Bill Parcells quote. Keyshawn played for Bill Parcells.
You are what you can say you are.
That, and You're a Jag, as in J-A-G, just another guy.
Yep, just another guy.
Yeah, last year, J-A-G, Daniel Jones, just another guy, had the 6th best QBR in all of pro football. Last year, he rushed the ball for 5.9 yards per carry, which was the 4th best in all of football. He was 15 touchdowns to only 5 picks last year. They made the playoffs. They went to Minnesota for what it's worth, and they won a playoff game. I can't take that away from a kid who plays hard, who's not bad. And a little bit panic mode there. They think, gee, maybe we found something with Brian Daboll. Maybe he has resurrected the confidence of Daniel Jones. And what happened on opening night? I still say the Giants still haven't quite gotten up off the mat after what my Dallas Cowboys did. They went in there and beat them on that same turf you saw last night, 40-0. They sacked Daniel Jones 7 times. That seemed like 77 times in that game because Micah Parsons, Micah, was just running wild after him and all over him. And it looked like he lost a lot of confidence and poise in that game. They did bounce back the next week at Arizona. They were down 28-7. You know, they roared back in the second half, and Daniel Jones was really good in the second half, and they won the game 31-28, or we'd be talking about 0-4. But then they played, Richard was there on Thursday night at 49ers, and they got crushed. And then obviously last night was just a debacle of a disaster. And what looked like to me, look, you don't have Andrew Thomas. He's your all-pro left tackle. You paid him. He's been out. So without Saquon and Andrew Thomas, it is time for Daniel Jones to get rid of the football. He looked deer in headlights the whole night. He's holding on to the ball, He's got Darren Waller. He got him only 3 balls last night. He still has Sterling Shepard, and he's got Slayton. And you think, well, he's still got enough to work with, and yet he just stands back there and goes blind in the pocket, and it got worse and worse. And then if we could see the pick 6, remember, at this point, this is late third quarter. They're going in to cut it to 14-10, and I'm thinking, well, the way they came back against Arizona, maybe they got a shot to win this game. And then here it is.
Well, the reason this happens, Skip, is he's staring down the damn receiver.
Yeah. Oh, and they got
look at his head.
Yeah.
He's looking. Look at the clip. He immediately drops back and he scans to the left the entire time.
He did.
What do you think Richard Sherman's going to do? Go to the other side? No. Witherspoon's going to pick it.
But it looked like some sort of option route to Paris Campbell, and they're not on the same page. And I'm not saying it was a great play by Devin Witherspoon, who looks like he's going to be a great player, but Daniel just throws it right to him, right?
Yeah.
Like he can't help but catch it.
Skip, I played defensive back, and so does you, Richard.
Yeah.
The first thing the quarterbacks are taught is to make the secondary read your eyes.
Yeah.
First thing he does is goes left and throws left. You can't do that. You can't.
Right. I mean, you saw the slot receiver that Witherspoon, because it was a zone. So as soon as he opens up, eyes go there. Bobby Wagner starts to drift left because the quarterback's eyes are taking him there. 99-9, that's what defense is taught. That's what Pete teaches. That's what Bobby has played his whole career. So as soon as he does that, that pushes Witherspoon to the next guy. So you got the return going back towards Bobby. Then you got a chair route coming to Devin Witherspoon. And so it's an easy play for him. It's a play most quarterbacks don't make because it's obvious. You're sitting there staring at the defense move that direction. Of course, if you throw this pass, it's going to be intercepted. You come off of it. But again, this is a cautionary tale. Don't let those numbers fool you. 15 touchdowns, Skip, is not a lot of touchdowns.
No.
Sure, he played efficient football last year. They only threw 4 interceptions, but that's because they kept him out of harm's way. Saquon had a really good season. They ran the ball. They gave him easy looks. He made the passes that were there. They stayed relatively healthy on the offensive line. Sure, but if you're watching him in practice every single day as a general manager, as the head coach, you know his limitations. You know what he doesn't do well. Yeah. He could fool us. We only see him once a week. But you should make a better assessment of who this player is because you know.
But you know, and you know this too, Skip, because you got one on your own, on the Dallas Cowboys. When you pay somebody a lot of money at the quarterback position, they tend to get happy and start to go away from what got that player that money and the success that y'all mentioned a year ago. All of a sudden, They say, let's peel it back a little more. Let's take the layers off. We think he can do a little bit more. We think he can a little bit more. Let's go get Waller. Let's draft higher from Tennessee. We getting Shepard back off an injury. Oh, by the way, in free agency, there's a Paris Campbell who can lift the coverage. They start to look at the picture a little bit different.
Yeah.
And it gets them put in a position where now Daniel Jones is ranked 24th in passing yards this season, 27th in yards per game, tied for 28th in touchdowns. There's a number of non-quarterbacks that have thrown touchdowns this year, like Keenan Allen and Derrick Henry and company. And so they're not making that type of money. But what happens again is people get happy when they pay these quarterbacks, or any position for that matter. If they pay a receiver a bunch of money, Skip, they want to throw in the ball all the time,
I got it.
And that's where you lose focus.
Now let's look at the Giants defense because I want to get Richard's take on this. The first touchdown pass that Geno throws makes it 7-0. It's to Metcalf in the corner of the end zone, and that kid Deonte Banks that they drafted late in the first round. I don't know what he's doing. Like, just look at the football because he's where he's supposed to be. He just loses touch with the throw. It looked like he's good, and then the ball just zips right past his ear hole.
Well, that's because, Richard, he uncovered, and Metcalf lured him asleep, right? He's just standing there, and then all of a sudden he separates.
Well,
that's youth. That's youth. Right there in that situation, you got to feel the quarterback's out of the pocket. You push him out of bounds. He's standing there with him. You got to stay plastered to him. That's for sure because the receivers can go anywhere. That's when you see Mahomes throwing it across his body to wide open receivers and things like that. So he's right to keep his eyes on him and to stay plastered. But you got to start to try to force him out of bounds and make him uncomfortable. He's standing there saying, "Hey, I'm doing my job." That's just youth. He'll get better with time. But that was a heady play by Geno because he knew his back was turned to him. It was a risk-free play.
It was. All right.
And Metcalf did a good job of just playing like, boom, touchdown.
Okay. Now let's look at the Noah Fant run, which is just unacceptable. It's humiliating. It's embarrassing for the home team. This is where you question how much they really care about what's happening here because this is Noah Fant. I mean, somebody's got to tackle him. No. Oh, come on. That's just an ole. And that's an ole, and that's half-hearted.
Well, sometimes, guys do close their eyes, Skip.
I guess
you didn't hear from me, though.
Right.
All right. Well,
right.
All right. So there we go.
You're right.
That's a big dude coming at you. That's not a small guy.
So now we're looking at the Giants have lost 2 home games by a grand total of 64-3. They have played 3 times on the national solo stage on Sunday night, Thursday night, and Monday night, and they have lost by a grand total of 94-15 in those 3 games. It's shocking because they were kind of a middle-of-the-pack projection pick. They were edge of the playoffs. Some people had them in, some people didn't. All of a sudden, it looks like Washington has superseded the Giants in the division as they're the 3rd best team. And it looks like the Giants are now the doormats of the NFC East, something I did not see coming. But that's how it looks. And remember, they now have to go to Miami. They have to go to Buffalo. They have to play Philly twice. They have to play Dallas
Washington
again. They have to play Washington twice. So
the schedule down the stretch isn't getting any easier for them.
Maybe they're going to get into the Derby for your man Caleb Williams, or for that matter, Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, wow!
But that would only compile things. That would only make things worse.
You paid the price.
Because you paid the price. If you would have just franchised them and this happened, then you got a chance to say, "Hey, we're in the Caleb Williams situation." Daniel Jones, for the first time, this rarely ever happens where you franchise a quarterback then let him walk in free agency. Daniel Jones, see the door. Caleb Williams, welcome in. Dabo, you got a guy. Oh my God, how happy would he be? That'd be Christmas in April for him.
It would be. I agree. All right, Richard. One last point here. How good do you think these Seahawks can be under Pete Carroll? You played for Pete with them, obviously. They had a big win. They went 1 at Detroit. Now they're 3-1. They lost at home, obviously, to the Rams. What are we looking at here when they start to get healthier?
You're looking at a guy in Clint Hurt, the defensive coordinator, who's starting to learn his personnel and utilize them correctly. The 5th pick in the draft being utilized in unique ways on the blitz in pass coverage. You see him making impact. Tariq Woolen, Bobby Wagner playing at an all-pro level. Quandre Diggs and Julian Love back there playing at a high level. You got to give them all the credit in the world. Offensively, Geno, you know all the weapons they have. You got a team that's going to make a lot of noise in the NFC and compete with the Niners for the NFC West crown. Obviously, the Niners have the lead right now. They haven't lost a game. The Rams are giving everybody a hard game. So I love the Seahawks and what they're building.
And then poor Jamal Adams last night, he comes back after a whole year and makes one big stick, and then all of a sudden he goes low on Daniel Jones, gets kneed in the helmet, and is in concussion protocol. So, but hopefully he'll be back sooner than later. All right, enough about them. I mentioned my Dallas Cowboys. I'm ready to do a topic that makes my blood boil. Are the 49ers really that much more physical than the Dallas Cowboys? I think my two partners here say yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No mercy. No mercy. No mercy.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.